Do you guys think the Ten Commandments are still relevant for today?
Yes, I do. You have to understand the context in which the commandments were given. They were given to a new nation that didn't have any commandments before. And so God, the Creator, gave them some rules to govern behavior. And so rules like thou shalt not kill, honor your mother, don't steal, don't envy, was just a way of making sure this nation had guidelines to thrive together, but also a way of relating back to God. So I think it's relevant because it also translates to now. A lot of laws have been based on the Ten Commandments, and even the Western culture have been based on a Christian ethos. Maybe not so now, but the foundations were.
I disagree. I'm so sorry. Foundationally, the start of the Ten Commandments are about relationship with God. And I think the only way to really fulfill the whole of the commandments is to have that foundation with God. And I think a commandment like obey your father and mother, as a therapist, I work with people who have been obedient, but to very toxic or neglectful parents.
Yeah.
I do think the themes within the commandments are important.
Yeah.
I think society has progressed. I don't think we're in that same space of a nation being formed. In fact, we're such a combination of different nations and people that I don't know if those 10, as they are, should still be relevant.
So you're saying it's only relevant if you follow Christ?
As the 10, yes, I would say so. I think the themes of them are relevant for a lot of people, and different people's morality can still lead them to the conclusion of don't kill, don't cheat. However, I think if we're talking about these 10 specifically, not just people having a rule of life or morality, then I don't know if these 10 are relevant for anyone outside of a Judeo-Christian perspective. But I think within that context, it's relevant. I think for those who might be atheist or Muslim or Sikh, I don't know if that's the same 10 commandments they need to obey, because the commandments are also dependent on your relationship with the God you serve.
For me, it superimposes this idea that morality cannot be gotten outside of religiosity. I don't need to be commanded not to kill someone innocent before I know not to kill someone innocent. This idea that morality cannot be separated from religiosity when more evidence points to morality being something that isn't this fixed or linear, myopic and rigid framework as much as it is something that is socially influenced and is also influenced by power dynamics as well. Morality and legality, for example, they are not mutually exclusive. They do not have a symbiotic relationship. Slavery was legal. Was it moral? When it comes to the 10 Commandments, it's so clearly, to me anyways, used as a way to control. It's very male-centered, it's very patriarchal. And so for me, as a young girl growing up reading and understanding the 10 Commandments, imagine my shock. There are many verses in the Bible that give you a loophole as to how to get away with enslaving, as to how to treat your slaves, as to how to treat your women as possessions. And so for me, a patriarchal religion that is founded on this doomsday ideology, that doesn't serve anyone but the person who is going to tell you that this is what you should believe.
Do you feel like they're made to control?
My perspective on God is different. The commandments were given to a people already that belong to God. So to say that it's controlling, it's not. It's a guideline for the people that were already his. And so it wasn't like he imposed it on everyone. Around the woman things, I've never read the Bible through the lens of a woman.
But that doesn't mean that you can't empathize. It doesn't. No. You don't need to be a woman to be able to.
I'm not saying that I don't empathize. I'm just saying that I can never speak for women, so I don't know the pain. I don't know the grapplings of it. So I'm not speaking from that point of view, but based on just reading the word as a pastor. When we look at God, obviously we relate to him as Father, but he's also, if you study the word, you also see that he has mother tendencies. He says to the children of Israel, like, would I forget you? Like once a mother nurses like a child, I won't forget you. So he's relating to himself, like, I care, I have mother tendency. We're both male and female, were created in the image of God. And so the image of God is reflected totally through male and female. Throughout, if you go into the New Testament, we see women being empowered even by Jesus throughout the different narratives. So my question to you, dear, Without the commandments, without God, what do you propose? Because when I study history, when people are veered away, and we see even today, when people are veering away from God, nations become depraved. If
That's not true.
that's the right word to use.
The idea that moving away from a theocracy causes depravity is just not founded in any real evidence.
So mention me a nation that without the foundation of Christianity or faith or that has thrived without some form of law.
There's a difference between religious law and actual law. In recent examples, Finland is not a religious country. Of course, they're religious people, but it's not religiously founded. And the levels of happiness, more secular countries, they report higher levels of satisfaction with the government. They report their higher qualities of life. Their advancements are a lot better as well. Whereas when you go to countries such as Nigeria, for example, I'm Nigerian, where there is a church every 5 steps, you see things like the poverty, you see the rampant mental illness that is that is everywhere, right? And obviously this is not in all of Nigeria, but in a lot of places where there is religiosity, more of a theocracy in how the state is run, and there's less separation between church and state. And so there is no causal link or correlation between the religiosity of a nation and the advancement of a nation. That's not to say that, you know, it cannot happen, but it's not because of religiosity. It's because of the civilization and the society themselves.
This whole discussion to me is proving to me that it's no longer relevant. And I think even if we look at scripture, the Old Testament was in a completely different framework of faith than the New Testament. Like, Jesus expanded on some of those commandments. And so if Jesus was expanding on them, and that's for his time, how much more do we need to expand with our time, with things like technology, with things like all the human rights that we have in place for people? And Jesus was radical for his time, because arguably we could say the people in Jesus's time were following the commands. That wasn't their issue, right? Their issue was that they didn't have this revelation of the Messiah, but they were quite diligent. So they had an awareness of the commandments, but I don't know if that's the entirety of how people should live.
Blessing, what would you add or change to the commandments?
Oh gosh, that's such a difficult question. I don't know if I can honestly answer that, because for me, the way I view the commandments, and I think touching on what you said of like, they were God's people, which firstly, I think we need to question. I thought everyone was God's people, not just the Israelites, but hey, that's not today's discussion. But if we were to unpack them being God's people, so he put these rules in place for their protection, let's say that, I see that as house rules, you know, like God's a father, that's how the Christian faith paints him out to be. He's putting in house rules, and perhaps when you leave the house, you can change the house rules. And so for me, I almost would want to empower people to have a measured perspective on the rules that they want for their life. And I think that needs to be done in the context of community, but I don't know if I could honestly or authentically prescribe a one-size-fits-all, because I don't know if that's fair. Because even from a therapeutic perspective, if someone comes in and they're depressed, or someone comes in and they've experienced neglect, I'm not addressing it the same way. And so I couldn't morally or ethically say one version of my commandments fits all.
What is it about humans that need to follow a rule?
Oh, I would question if humans need to follow a rule. I think as humans, that's kind of just how we almost ground or regulate ourselves, is by finding our own version of rules or stability or grounding. And so I don't know if it's a need. I think it's a bit innate in us because of the craziness or unpredictability of our world. We're looking for things to ground us. And for some, that's God. For some, that's cigarettes. That's what grounds them. And so I think we're always looking for that simply because the world we exist in is a bit rubbish sometimes. And so we need things to help us.
Yeah, I think it's not that humans need rules and all these things, because that is then to say that we are incapable innately of being able to self-govern. And, you know, whenever I tell people that I'm an atheist, they always ask me, okay, so what do you believe in? I believe in the sovereignty of the individual. I believe in the right of the individual to self-govern within a communal context.